Hi guys, welcome to episode 9 of OHBinBusters. We're going to title this segment Hurry Up and Wait because we feel like that's what we're doing right now with this corn. Getting into maturity has been pretty slow on my acres, Jonah's acres, and a lot of guys that we're working with in our trade area. So one of the things we wanted to do today is get out, do some planning as far as our harvest schedule, kind of get a gauge because we're hearing a lot as far as ear molds and things of that nature. So today we're joined by Andrew Ramsey. He's our field service representative from Bayer, represents the DeKalb and Asgrow brand. We're out here today, basically just kind of scouting for ear molds and looking for some of the things we're hearing. So what we've done here is we've kind of taken out an area. This is one of our NCJ entry fields. We're getting a gauge for it. This is a DeKalb 5553 product. We get some calls sometimes. We see some discolored kernels, and folks will associate that with mold. Sometimes it is mold, sometimes it's not. But with 5553 DeKalb, Andrew, we've got a little bit of discoloration in some of these. Can you explain maybe what's going on there and where that might come from?
Yeah, so sometimes some of our genetic lines, when you look at them and start pulling ears back in the fall, you'll start to notice some black coloration on the kernels, and that's simply just a discoloration in the pericarp. It really has no hindrance of yield, no effects on the ear, really nothing to be too concerned about at all, but it's just kind of a different look on an ear that you wouldn't normally see.
Yeah. So with what you're seeing here with 5553, is this representative of kind of what you're seeing across the state? This is later planted due to the spring that we had. Dropping this hybrid in here at 35,000. Would you say this is representative of what you're used to with this hybrid?
Yeah, well, this is what we would expect to see. It looks really good, big full ears, a little bit of flex to it. Really kind of exciting to see how well it's filled as late as it was planted, along with the stress that it's been through. And it looks like there's a lot of good potential here as we get closer to running it through the machine.
Yeah, and I know, Jonah, you and I were walking earlier. Even in this field, this is one of the continuous corn blocks. We were finding some ears with some molds. And what we saw here was diplodia, maybe a little bit of jib, but we weren't seeing the trichoderma. Trichoderma has been a challenge in some other areas, maybe that's seen a little more stress. We have heard a few reports of aspergillus, which to me, it's probably being confused for trichoderma right now. Both are a green type mold. One thing that we see with aspergillus is that hot dry. The last time we saw it, Jonah, if you remember, was 2012. It was pretty bad in 2012 when we had the big drought. So, Jonah, anything you want to add on the corn? I know here's an ear here that we found. Jonah carried down to me that had diplodia on it. It's just a small representation. We've got 46 ears, I think you counted here, Jonah, that we've kind of opened up, and this was on the end of that. We basically wanted to see how far we could go before we found an ear that was damaged. So
along, Doug, with the, we're talking about looking for ear molds, looking at just ear health in general too. We also look at stock quality. I mean, obviously stock quality is not a big issue in our NCGA entries because we've managed the plant, have great stock quality. When we look at our other acres, you and I have always made it a day of, driving around, looking at stock quality of different hybrids, looking at a harvest plan for ourselves, along with, we do it with customers that we work with. Looking at the stock strength, how long it'll stand, how long we can let it stand, and the moisture, I guess, with the hybrids. Do you want to touch on anything on you guys have been doing? We looked at some of ours last week, and we're a good ways off, but what have you seen?
Yeah, I think as we're going to get late in the year, stocks are going to become very critical for us, and we're pretty happy. This farm here, like I said, it is continuous corn, but it had a rough life years ago. I guess it was an old rundown farm, and we've done a lot as far as fertility management on it, watching those potash applications, and keeping a healthy plant. Mm-hmm. So, as far as what we saw here, these stalks are amazing. They're going to be here a while because they're going to have to be here for a while. I don't know whether to break the news to the family now that this is going to be a little confrontation with deer season and Thanksgiving, but we're going to be out here at that time frame. So,
Andrew, with that being said, what have you seen across the state? I mean, I know you're more than Doug and I are pretty much southeast Ohio. I mean, what are you seeing across the state in your geography? You have a lot bigger area than we do. Yeah. Are you seeing issues with stock quality or ear health, or what are you seeing?
Where we've seen a lot of drought stress through that late summer, western part of the state, we've seen some stress there with some stocks that we're a little bit worried about. As you move into the eastern side of the state, stuff looks pretty good in spots. Northeast went through a dry spell as well, and it's looking pretty rough. Stock quality in areas is going to be extremely questionable. Mm-hmm. Some of this later season corn, or this later corn that got planted, most of the stalks look pretty good on it. It had a little bit better go at it. But some of this stuff that just had that bad drought stress, midsummer, August, late July, it really went through the ringer on trying to put a good size ear on, and it's gonna be interesting to see if it holds up as we get through harvest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So along, we always talk about stock quality. What are some things that affect stock quality? Obviously, potassium levels is a huge part. We look at, the population of this planet. What are other things that we talk about, Doug and Andrew? I mean, you guys fill me in. What are you guys attribute stock quality to also?
I mean, for me, as far as disease, keeping the plant healthy. When you look at this, Andrew, from your observation, 55, 53 DeKalb has a good disease package, but we also utilize a fungicide. We use Delaro on this farm here as well. As we continue to go, maybe continuous corn, we'll put this farm in the 2-pass program here as well. But for me, keeping that plant disease free and keeping those stalks healthy, the general plant healthy is going to create better standability for us. But some of the things that we saw, I know, Andrew, you and I had a discussion the other day. Some guys were seeing, maybe they thought a little fusarium crown rot, and that's a disease that occurs early in the year. We can kind of manage through that if that's going to be an issue with maybe a V5 application with a fungicide, Stratego or something of that nature.
I'd add to that same thing. Fertility is a big key, obviously, with stalk health. And then on the backside, the longer we can keep that plant healthy and green and not allow those infection sites to occur and things like that, obviously, we're going to hold up a lot better later in the harvest.
Yeah. And we lean on Andrew a lot for these, I call them shorter season hybrid recommendations. Normally for Jonah and I, our wheelhouse is a little fuller season maturity, but with the weather and the things that we had this year, and we're planting 105 day and 55, 53 DeKalb, seems like it fits our area very well. So, and we're going to take a look here. We've got a couple blocks here with some newer products. Andrew's going to walk us through some of those. We're going to go ahead and head on over to another block on this farm and take a look at some new DeKalb hybrids.
So we're back here in a different section of the field, looking at an experimental hybrid right here in front of me, and 5864 over there in front of Andrew. Doug, go ahead.
Yes, one of the things we want to do is we always find hybrids that we like and we get comfortable with. For us, 5834 DeKalb has been a great product for us in this area, but now, with 5864 coming on board, we like the looks of those genetics, so we try to get replicated data across these blocks, split planters, different treatments to see how this hybrid reacts. So, Andrew, you're really familiar with 5864 and some of the things that it might bring to us over the 5834. You want to touch on that real quick?
Yeah, so 5864 is a brand new hybrid this year in our DeKalb lineup. It's the first year we've been testing it in the state. Just get ready for commercial launch this fall, so it'll be available next summer. And it brings some improvements on 5835, 34 we've talked about, which had been a disease shield product, super healthy, really good product, but it had some holes. So 5864 comes in the lineup with way better emergence than 5835. Not as healthy, a little bit, not as good on northern, but still a pretty good disease package with it. But one thing this brings to the table is yield. So a lot of our breeding data showed a significant increase on yield compared to 5835. It's a smart stacks only hybrid, double-digit yield over 5835. So it's going to be a big one to look at as we start pulling off some plot data. But it's always good to pull some of this stuff out early, get a look at it, even though it's a small sample size, and see kind of what it looks like across some different environments.
Yeah, I'm excited the way we see it here. I mean, the plant health, like you said, it may seem like there's a little bit of some gap there between 5834, but this did get a fungicide as well here. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. We're pretty consistent with that 18 around, even over here on the experimental. And a lot of times we try these experimental products and they don't even have names yet. So this is,
and we really don't know where it fits either. We kind of threw it in here. And
yeah, so we're just kind of getting our feet wet with some of these things and trying out some of these and relaying that information back to bear on those products. So for us, we enjoy this. It kind of helps us, and it helps us move the bar and kind of figure out which hybrids we want to be looking at for next year's yield competitions, and also not just a yield competition acre, but figure out what fits all acres. Right. Jonah, you got anything else you want to add on that and different things maybe that you're doing on your farm too with some experimentals? I know you've got some different hybrid blocks out, things you're seeing there. I know we're not there, but maybe I know you walk them all the time. So,
I mean, the biggest thing we have out this year on the hybrid block, we actually did a soybean variety plot. That's about the only thing we had this year. The corn block we had kind of got tore up when we had to replant everything, didn't decide to replant it. But walked the soybean plot this morning. Just interesting to see how different varieties in the soybean side, maturities and how they're performing this year with different plant dates. Those are actually planted really early, the soybean one was. So it's kind of interesting to see, how that performs in different soil types and hopefully get some good data off that and relay it to everybody.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to harvest, but This tells me we're going to be a little bit.
Yeah, Christmas plans might be getting shifted. Move on past Thanksgiving.
And so
Good news is we'll be able to hunt from the combine this year, right?
we've affected deer season, Thanksgiving. We might as well just affect Christmas while we're at it, guys. So, thanks for joining us. Check out number 6, Biggie Fry, Biggie Coke.
Liter of cola.
They don't do Biggie Fry, Biggie Coke anymore.
I know.
Did they not?
Dude, that stuff probably went out in the 90s.
Liter of cola.
Liter.
Need a liter of cola. It's for a cop. It's medium.
Serious mode.
I don't either.
Just got to get it tuned in, bud.
Maybe if my farm.
It worked.
You see how wet the corn is from up there?
I actually put this up as an observation so I can see the hybrids. No, really, I put it up to deer hunt.